All right, today we are going to be talking about the great falling away. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, let's start at verse 1. Now, brethren, concerning the coming of our Adonai Yahushai Hamashiach, and our gathering together to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Messiah had come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away, apostasy, comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worship, so that he sits as Elohim in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Do you not remember that when I was with you, I told you these things? And now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness, that word lawlessness right here means contempt and violation of the law, iniquity, wickedness. So what he's saying is the mystery of violating the law is already at work, and he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. And then the lawless one, that word lawless one right here, the one that's destitute of the Mosaic law, the one that's departing from the law, the one that's a violator of the law, the one that is wicked, the one that is lawless, that's what he's saying. And the lawless one will be revealed, whom Yahweh will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason, Elohim, look at what Yah is going to do. For this reason, Elohim, aka Yah, will send them strong delusion that they should believe the lie. See that? It says Yah will send them strong delusion, so they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who do not believe the truth, who do not obey the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Let's look at the word falling away and its definition in verse 3. Falling away appears here. He's talking about apostasy and Yahweh issuing them a bill of divorce for breaking the covenant. And we're going to prove that out. This word apostasy right here, falling away right here, also means apostasy, and it's the same as divorce or repudiation or a bill of divorce. Look at it like a marriage. If a wife is unfaithful to a husband, the husband issues a bill of divorce, and we're going to take a look at that. Yah is comparing the relationship with his people and the falling away as a husband who divorces his wife. So that means that people are going to get cut off. So that word divorce is a derivative of to make, stand off, to cause, to withdraw, to remove, to go away. So the falling away also has to do with Yah withdrawing from the people and putting them away. And remember, you shall not commit adultery. When the Bible talks about adultery, it also is referring to apostasy. When you are disobeying Yahweh's commandments, he considers that adultery and apostasy and you cheating on him. Now, let's look at the principle of divorce, since we extracted that definition of apostasy as divorce. Let's look at the principle to get an image of what Paul mentioned in 2 Thessalonians. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24, starting at verse 1. When a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanness in her, he writes her a certificate of divorce, puts it in her hand, and sends her out of his house. That's the language that's being used in 2 Thessalonians. The great falling away, the falling away has to do with Yahweh sending people out of his house, because that word apostasy also means divorce. So the falling away is going to consist of people getting put out of his house. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 50, starting at verse 1. Thus says Yahweh, where is the certificate of your mother's divorce, whom I have put away? Or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? For your iniquities you have sold yourself, and for your transgressions your mother has been put away. So when Yahweh puts people away, and when the falling away happens, it's going to be because their iniquities and their transgressions put them away. Let's look at verse 2. Why? When I came, was there no man? Why? When I called, was there none to answer? Is my hand shortened at all that it cannot redeem? Or have I no power to deliver? Indeed, with my rebuke I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness. Their fish stink because there is no water, and die of thirst. Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 14, starting at verse 12. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, when a land sins against me by persistent unfaithfulness, I will stretch out my hand against it. I will cut off its supply of bread, send famine upon it, and cut off man and beast from it. See that? This is what happens when someone sins against Yahweh, when someone violates his law, when someone breaks his commandments. He's consistent. He doesn't change. Now look at verse 14. Even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they would deliver only themselves by their righteousness, says Adonai Elohim. So he's saying that you're responsible for your own righteousness. Job, Noah, Daniel, they're not going to be able to save you. Your righteous grandma, your righteous dad, your righteous cousin, they're not going to be able to save you. When you transgress the law, Yahweh puts you away. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 6, starting at verse 1. Check this out. Therefore, leaving the discussions of the elementary principles of Messiah, let us go on to perfection, not laying again the foundation of repentance from dead works and of faith toward Elohim, of the doctrine of baptisms, of the laying on of hands, of the resurrection of the dead, and of eternal judgment. And this we will do if Elohim permits. For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened and have tasted the heavenly gift and have become partakers of the Rawak HaKodash and have tasted the good word of Elohim and the powers of the age to come, if they fall away, to renew them again to repentance. If they fall away, to renew them again to repentance. If they fall away, to renew them again to repentance. This term fall away also has a definition of being an apostate. It's all connected. If they fall away, to renew them again to repentance, since they crucify again for themselves the son of Elohim, and put him to an open shame. It says you're putting the Messiah, Yahushua, to an open shame. Look at verse 7. For the earth which drinks in the rain that often comes upon it, and bears herbs useful for those by whom it is cultivated, receives blessings from Elohim. But if it bears thorns and briars, thorns and briars, thorns and briars, it is rejected, it is rejected, it is rejected, and near to being cursed, whose end is to be burned. If you're a thorn or a briar, you won't understand what I'm saying. Until next time.